What's up, walk-ins? Welcome, family. You are listening to Nick and Michael, and we are here for another Wednesday episode to help you grow your clinic.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just rolled off a really cool webinar too the other day, and it was a lot of fun. It's a AI-based webinar in terms of how to use AI to help your clinic, from a website, Google Business Profile, Google Ads, all the things. We got to talk to a bunch of urgent cares. It was really fun.
I learned something on that episode.
Yeah.
Our clinics do not want to turn their webcams on.
Oh yeah, and it's either
I can't even buy them lunch and get them to turn on their webcams.
Well, it's either they don't want to turn on their webcams during a Zoom, or they just can't because their software's stopping them from turning on. Like, that's,
don't lie, y'all are sitting in the bathroom watching the webinar.
Except for one lady that was super engaged. We liked talking to her.
Like, yeah, we had two or three
that were like really into it,
and one was super engaged, and he or she, I'm sorry, I can't remember which one. They just said that their webcam didn't work.
Yeah. But anyway, and so we're going to be chopping up some of that webinar, putting out here on the podcast as some episodes that'll be coming down the pipe.
All in the countdown to episode 100.
Yeah, I think this is technically 97 that we're working on.
It is. So, well, actually, maybe we chop that other one into 2 episodes just so that we can land and have a good time on 100. We should plan that out. Anyway, let's get back to it here. Today's topic is going to be around social media, but really it's whether or not you should have an in-house strategy or you should outsource your social media strategy. I want to be clear. We're not trying to sell social media today.
And full disclosure, we offer the services we're about to discuss, but we're not here to sell. This is the common questions we get, and this is what we know. And we're just going to tell you, like, it's not a yes or no answer. It depends on your situation. At
your needs.
Yeah. Yep. What are your needs? What matters to you? Because what social media is now is not what it was 10, 15 years ago when you were in med school and all the things. Like, it's changed so much. And the standards of it have changed, essentially.
Right.
And so we even tell people a social post by itself with nothing tight, just a general social post, all it does is it tells people that you're alive. Right. It doesn't do much beyond that. And then there's layers after that. Like, that's the top, like, this is the basic thing going on. Tons of layers after that. Anyway, we're going to go through the in-house versus outsourcing, because at the end of the day, there's a choice. You have to make one of the two, because and when we say in-house, we're saying not you're hiring somebody, generally speaking.
I'd like to throw out there that I think we can genuinely have an objective conversation about this, being the fact that we're a digital marketing agency, Michael, because I don't think you should bring in-house your website development. I don't think you should bring in-house your SEO, your Google Ads, your advertising. I don't think that should be in-house. Social media?
Question mark.
I will answer those questions, because I believe there's situations to be argued on both sides of that.
And I agree. So yeah, and the reason why we think, bringing those, we have never seen a client where they were doing everything in SEO, Google Ads, whatever, all in house, and they were happy with what they were doing. Or anybody, even if they weren't a client, we're just talking to them.
Right.
Or it's painfully obvious when they're running stuff like that, because at the end of the day, SEO, Google Ads, all the things, if you're not paying attention to it, it's hard to keep it going in the right direction very quickly. And social media is a little different,
right,
at the end of the day, because it's more visual, it's more trendy, and it's a very, like, that was yesterday, what are you doing today?
It's nuanced.
Yeah.
It's very nuanced. So why don't we start with the in-house side of things? And what we're going to do is we're going to do a pro and con list on in-house, and then we're going to do a pro and con list on outsourcing your social media management.
Right.
And then we'll just kind of bring it all and put it in a bow tie and send you on your way. How do you feel about that, Mike?
Yeah, so either way, we're not telling you which one to do.
Yeah, no. This is, like I said, I think we could have a real objective conversation no matter what side of the aisle, what side of the thought process you fall on here.
So if you're listening, think about if this is something that's come up in discussions in inside the meetings that you have at your clinic, should we outsource or in-house? Think about answering these questions or these pros and cons and see if this makes sense or not.
And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give my honest opinion at the end of this on what I think clinics should do. I'll just give my
and
honest
I'll question
opinion.
it.
Yeah, you can do that if you want. All right, are you ready? All right, in-house social media. Let's start there. Michael, let's just rattle off the first pro.
So in-house social media, first pro, you have more control over the content and strategy.
So I like to tell people when we're meeting with them that I am never going to be the agency, and by the way, no agency will be the agency that's going to be in your clinic every day, asking questions, interacting with your customers, interacting with your patients, interacting with your team. The content and the strategy behind it is just, it's whatever I think is the best versus what you know is the best for your company.
Yep. Okay. Well, and at the end of the day, like, because I had a call today, they're asking about social media, and he's like, "Do y'all come down here and take photos?" And I was like, "No, we physically can't make it down there. We rely on you to provide some of that."
That's right.
So that at the end, like, we may know, and like I said, we know about your industry, but we don't know about all the nuances. We even have an urgent care right now where, like, these are the things they typically do, and there was something we put in the post like, we actually don't do that anymore, or no, we just let go of that particular doctor. Right. So, like, we didn't know.
I mean, but if you're in house, you're like 100% on top of it because you just know. In that team meeting on Monday, you said, "Hey, we're no longer doing lacerations,"
or you get the carbon copy email, "This person's been let go."
That's right, exactly. Yeah, we've never had that happen here. All right, next bullet point is you can build relationships with your audience over time. I'm just going to go straight to Wendy's.
Yeah.
Right? Like
they are
Twitter.
The epitome of like a corporate social account doing it right.
They are, absolutely. If you go to Twitter or X or whatever they're calling it this week, and you just go look at Wendy's, the fast food chains, their social media, they're engaged with their audience.
And they know
they
their
are
audience.
Beating up on their competition in a fun, friendly way. They're beating them up, don't get me wrong.
I mean, they are roasting
They're
them.
pretty ruthless.
It's so good.
But they welcome it. Like, they're not one of those people that can dish it out and can't take it, right? So they're having to they start like billboard wars and everything else, right?
Yeah, I have to say, I think if you need inspirations, it's been for years now. Like, they've been doing it so well for so long. But they are kind of the epitome of, like, if you're going to do it right, this is the way you need to go.
That's right. And there's some other more professional outfits out there. Again, we're part of a group called Seven Figure Agency, and it is the most engaged social media group I've ever even been a part of.
Yeah, those Facebook groups are intense. Like, you post a question, you're getting 10 answers in like 5 minutes.
But also, the owner of the company is in there dialoguing with them, and we questioned it because it's a big company, right? And we even said, "Hey, Josh, is that
you?
Who's pretending to be you?" He goes, "No, man. Every time you see my name pop up, that's me."
Yeah, he said that the only thing he has help with is somebody direct messages him. They filtered out a little bit before he gets to it,
and that may be true, and that's probably the right thing to do.
But any of the actual posting, that's all him.
Correct.
Yep.
And engaging on social posts. So you can build relationships if you're authoring the responses, right? All right, you can be more responsive to customer feedback. I mean, I'm not just talking reviews at this point. How many of you mentally raise your hand if you've run an ad and somebody poo-pooed all over you in that ad?
Yeah.
Especially in the urgent care space, especially in the medical space. You go out there and you run an ad about how amazing you treat your clients, and you had this one person who's a bad experience that trolls you online. You want to be able to be responsive to that customer feedback. You want to do that. You don't want an agency doing that for you.
Well, most agencies will say they won't do it. We won't do it because it's a liability. Because if we say something that's not accurate to what that client would say, it comes back on us, and then we can get sucked into a lawsuit because of misinformation.
I'm just trying to imagine a scenario where, John Doe broke his arm, complained about it on social media, and you respond and said, "Oh, I'm sorry you broke your arm." Boom, HIPAA violation.
Yeah.
You acknowledged his ailment publicly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're cooked. And if HIPAA if he can turn that in, and a lot of people will troll you just to be able to do that.
Well, because we've had like Ron Shu on here before, and they talk about HIPAA compliance. Where now
Ron Shu's with SIP Oasis. He's an IT guy, and they're all HIPAA compliant.
Yeah, they're all about HIPAA compliance, and he was talking about now it's you're going to get well rewarded for a situation if you whistleblow on somebody.
Okay. I remember this, Michael. You're saying like an employee inside of your urgent care, inside of your practice, the government is rewarding them, paying them money to find violations to turn you, the clinic owner, in.
Yep,
unbelievable,
ton of money.
Unbelievable.
I get it though, because at the end of the day, if they're breaking rules and not caring, somebody's got to get them for it. I guess
our first core value is what, Michael?
Culture trumps everything.
You better build that culture up. They better love you more than they love money. I'm just saying. All right, and you can save money in the long run. Now, again, I don't personally believe this one, but we can talk about it. All right, you can save money in the long run.
Yeah. So it depends, right? Like there's a lot of things around that because also it could generate more money in the long run than an agency just running posts for you. Like,
well, as a business owner, you should care more about generating income than saving money.
Yeah, because the reality is, well, so this is the typical argument we get when we talk to anybody that's like on the fence with this stuff. Why can't I just hire somebody in house? All right, so from a pure cost standpoint, in today's world, you are, sorry, he pointed at the next thing, but I say in today's world, like there's no such thing as a $35,000 a year social media manager. That's just gone.
Everybody wants a 70.
Or 60 minimum. Plus or whatever. Like it's gotten very expensive. Right. And then we're not even talking about benefits at this point, just the idea of salary.
Hey, I'll make an argument on that though, because we're going to talk about cons here next. And that's why don't you just go ahead and read that con and we'll just continue.
Yeah. And so the con, it could be more time consuming, expensive to hire and train in-house staff. Yeah. Like exactly.
Yes, that is a con depending on how you look at it. If that person that is wanting $60,000+ a year comes in and does an exceptional job on social media, blows your clinic up, you're now trending on social media and going viral, and everybody's wanting to come to your clinic, they were worth every penny you paid.
Absolutely, and
so that's why I'm saying, like,
and at the end of the day, it's actually very difficult for a agency to have an account go viral and spend that much time on it. Like it's very uncommon, and I think that's
it's just very expensive too.
It takes money and time at the end of the day,
right?
And just sometimes luck. But I would say too, which I don't see in this list, but even oh no, I lost my train of thought.
It was going to be so good.
It was so good. Crap.
You're gonna remember it when we're down here.
I know.
So we'll go to the next one. That's all right. So here's the thing. Employees, a con, yes, it can be more expensive to teach and train. I would also argue the payroll, the benefits, the sick time, the missed opportunities, and the lack of a plan of action if they quit.
Yeah.
Right? Or if you let them go. Right?
Yeah.
So there's some cost-benefit analysis that you really have to think about whenever you're doing bringing on an in-house employee. However, I'm going to make the argument, and I'll talk about it later, that an in-house person is going to do a much better job of managing your social media.
Now I remember KPIs.
Yeah.
So
which is what?
So key performance indicators.
There you go.
At the end of the day, what's the goal of all this? Like, because that's something that we not say a hard no, but we're pretty close to a hard no. If somebody comes and say, "Hey, I want you to run social media for us. I want us to go viral." That's not, you're not going to win. Like that, the chances of that actually happening are low. Or if you're like, I'm going to hire somebody in-house social media, they're going to do this, and this, because it's easy. Like they do, it's just easy, and it should be fine. Hear that a bunch too. That's not. Let's be real for a second, right? So let's say, like, what is the like? Do you want to get more patients? Great. Or do you just want more presence so it feels like you're taking care of a community or being exposed more to the community? Cool. But put some things around. Don't just say, because that's the thing too. Like at the end of the day, if you're hiring a social media person in-house, they're a creative mind. And the second you say, go do what you want, you're going to break them.
That's right.
You got to put them in a box, not a tight box, but a box. Like, here's your boundaries, and here's where I want you to go toward. And I'll let you be creative and find the path.
Right.
But yeah, I've seen that a lot where people, you just take care of it. I don't really care. And then you get mad at them like a month later. What is all this junk? Or I don't like what I'm seeing. Like, well, you didn't tell me what you wanted.
If I see a client that doesn't care about the work that we're doing, they're not a right fit.
Yeah, like there has to be appreciation on both sides of that coin. So anyway, but that's just the general thing. Like, don't just say we need I used to hear that a lot. Oh, we just need social media presence. Well, okay, why? Well, we just need it. Everybody else is doing it. Oh, okay, but why do you want it? And it's just, you have to kind of.
We're not disagreeing with you. We're just trying to dig your goals out.
Because you have a goal in mind, and you don't know how to say it.
You just haven't articulated it yet.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so that came to my mind when we're going through this, because I know there are people that on this podcast that are listening, and they're like, yeah, we hired somebody, we got rid of them really quick, we didn't like them, and then we're on our fourth social media person, we don't know what we're doing, like why we can't find anybody that's good. They're like, it's not them, it's you.
Well, the best social media that you see, I guarantee you there's not one person sitting behind Wendy's Twitter account. No. There's a team of social media people.
Absolutely.
A team.
It's like any of the content, like YouTube creators. It's not that one guy. No. Linus Tech Tips, that's something I follow. They're one of the most prominent channels out there, and they have I think they have 100 employees now.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the standard. When you're seeing that much content happening, it's rarely one person actually doing that.
It's certainly not by accident.
No.
And then that brings us to the final con of in-house is you may not have the expertise or the resources available. And when I think expertise, I think maybe you don't know how to shoot a good video, or you don't understand, like,
you can't provide the things that they need to be successful.
Right. You may not have the equipment. You know, if you're going to try and get out there and edit video that you shot on your phone and you don't have the necessary resources to do that, this is what they're talking about, or this is what this is talking about when it talks about not having the expertise or resources. And that's accurate. That doesn't mean it's wrong. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do your social media. It just means that's a con.
Yep.
All right, let's move over to outsourced social media. This is an agency or a third party or a side hustle
or
person,
freelancer.
Yeah, freelancer. That's going to be managing your social media on your behalf. So, First Pro, you can tap into the expertise of an experienced professional, unless they're doing it as a side hustle. Then they're not an experienced
or unless it's the first time they've ever done it.
Yeah,
I did it for myself.
Well, I want to be very clear about that. This company, not Patient Care Marketing Pros, but my legacy company, Nick the Marketer, that started as a side hustle, and somebody gave me a chance, and I grew into a professional. But you know what? I charged them as if it were a side hustle. You know,
get what you pay for.
And I didn't pretend. I'm like, I'm going to work with you. We're going to have lots of conversations. I might as well be your employee. That's a 1099. So I'm not saying not to use somebody that is doing this as a secondary job. I'm just saying you need to understand what you're getting when you do that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
All right. So tap into experienced professionals. Second, you can save time and money on hiring, and training staff. You don't have to do it. We train our own staff
or hire new staff
or hire like we're doing all that for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
we as the collective agency or the collective social media outsource is what
it's our problem.
Yeah, that's our problem, not yours.
At the end of the day, you're writing a check and providing some info.
We don't take sick days.
Yeah.
We don't charge you for vacation.
But we also don't, for us particularly, we don't answer after 5. So,
I mean, that's true.
For us, at least.
That's part of our culture.
Yep.
It'd have to be an emergency. All right. What's the third?
You can get access to the latest social media tools and technology. Yeah, because at the end of the day, social media tools, they've been around for, like Hootsuite, been around now 15 years.
Yep.
Long time. But the good software, like Hootsuite's not bad for sure. Like it's been around for a while. It's respected.
Keeps getting better too.
It's an incremental thing. It's just it gets expensive, but that's the side thing. Like when you work with a company that has like 50 social media clients, they probably have access to higher end software that's only enterprise level, and that gives them flexibility that you would like. By the time you made the purchase of the software or paying a subscription to it, you're now spending more than the hiring. You know, it gives that advantage, and then also it's the techniques around it and stuff, like doing the right things, all that thing tied to that software, like all the different things. Because at the end of the day, you may have great software, but if you don't know how to use it properly, it's kind of a waste. So, but yeah, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to go learn a tool. We learned a tool, and we make sure it's effective for you. Like that's at the end of the day, you're just saying, here's my money. Here's some things I care about. Thank you.
I would also say that the outsourced professional is most likely staying on top of the most recent trends.
Oh yeah, because I have to.
Like I'm having to sell all of my clients on the idea of TikTok right now,
and it's a hard sell because it's something that most people they have an assumption on, and we're like, no, there's something great. And then we had an episode, I think it will air before this one, but it's about LSAs, and like that's a trend thing per se because it could change again. That's something completely related to Google, but we're on the forefront of it because we have to be.
That's right.
And then as a client, you don't have to be. You're like, I just want it to work for me. So sure, if that's the new thing, let's go for the new thing.
All right, let's move to cons. All right, you're going to lose control over the content and the strategy. All right, that's kind of a loose con. We have a set of guidelines that we go by when we're working with a company and we're doing their social media. But this goes back to the original comment that I made earlier where I'm not in your business every day.
No.
I'm not with your team. I'm not ingrained into your culture. And so you're outsourcing your culture communication. You're outsourcing your vision communication to a company. And we're going to do, I'm just going to speak on behalf of every agency. Every agency wants to do good work for you.
Yeah.
But we're just not there every day.
And you're not our only client.
Correct. And I don't like that should be a good thing for you. Why I say that is Well, why would I not want you to be completely focused on me? Because I have access to other agencies other clinics and what's working for them that I can incorporate into your business, because you're not going to be a competitor.
Yeah.
Right. Your business in San Antonio, Texas isn't competing with the one over there in, New Jersey.
Right.
Right. New Providence or whatever. So I can take the trends that are working there, apply them to your business, and make them effective. Okay. So there's some pros to that. All right. I'm not going to be able to build a relationship with your audience. I'm not.
No, there's a, and it's one of those, at the end of the day, we know too, if there's something trending in our city, we can have a pretty relatable content around that, because that's where we live. Like, there's a audience relationship building. But if it's a client that's in New York, we don't know what's going on there other than what the news tells us. And that we don't really know the language around it. We can't have that, because there is a certain, we make a joke here in Birmingham, you have Birmingham, but then you have over the mountain, which you only know what that means if you live here, because that's not a actual city. It's a bunch of cities, but we know what that means. And then it goes there's the west side of Birmingham, the east side. We all know what that means and how we focus around it. Because it's so funny, because when we pick up a client in the Birmingham market, we specifically ask, what areas do you want to take care of? And they'll name off, the local side of it. We're like, oh, yeah.
280. The mountain.
Yeah.
Mountain Brook.
All the things. And we know exactly what that means, because we're inside that. But if you go to a client that's over in California and they say, we like this place, well, what's the city for that called? That's all that's our limitation, because we're not part of it.
Quick story. Here we go. So I will give a shameless plug for us in that our team goes above and beyond when we're trying to do research for our clients.
Yeah.
We got tested recently by a company
that
wanted to do work with us.
They were testing us and 2 other agencies.
They were testing us to see how in depth we pay attention to what they're trying to accomplish. One of them was the reach of their service.
Yep.
And one of the cities they gave me, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I was like, okay, well, look, the search volume here is okay, but this city right over here, y'all can service that city, and it's got 100 times more volume than where you are here.
Yeah, it's and just make y'all service that city, correct? Yeah, well, this is our focus then, because that's where your dollars are going to come from.
And they said y'all are the only agency that looked outside of the city that I gave them.
Yeah.
And I'm just
it's kind of well, why not?
Anyway, I'm not going to get into that other than to say, where were we on here?
Building relationships
with the audience. If we don't know your audience, we're never going to be able to communicate that message in the same way that you would, because you're there every day. Anyway, let's keep going.
Yeah, and then last con, right? So you may not be able to respond to customer feedback as quickly.
We just won't.
We just don't. Most agencies don't. You'll have freelancers that will probably say, sure, why not? I have nothing to lose.
So I've seen it done this way. And if you're working with an agency and you expect them, I'm going to even recommend that you do this, because this is the only effective way that I've seen it done. And that is to put together a list of scripts.
Canned responses.
A list of responses. If this, then. If this, then.
Yeah.
If they say this, then you can say this. If they say this, then you can say this.
If they say this, don't say anything.
And I will tell you, I can tell when a company has outsourced, because when I go onto social media and I see an ad run and I see a complaint, I see the exact same response.
Thank you for giving us feedback. Love for you to call us number, blah, blah, blah.
Yes, it's the same response. And I'm like, okay, that's a canned response.
Yeah.
And you can tell the difference, because the other one goes, hey, I sent you a PM, let's connect.
Yeah.
That's different.
Or it's like, we are so happy that you had a good time with us. Yes, Mrs. So-and-so is amazing. They engage on that side.
That's the difference.
Yeah. Well, I've even seen, you've ever been onto a car dealer website and had the chat pop up,
right?
Agent live, and then you're like, what do you want to know about this car? And I say, well, can you tell me more about it? Hang on. Well, we don't have anything else to tell you about the car. It's just oh, you're not there. You're physically not there or part of that system, so you can't. At the end of the day, it becomes, if you keep an eye out for it, it becomes super obvious. And maybe that's okay for some people. Maybe you're totally good with that. Is that checking your KPI? Are feedback being responded to quickly? And that's the checkbox. Now, if it's respond to quickly with personalization and making sure you're engaging the audience properly with our brand, That may not be checked off with outsourcing.
Right.
So
most likely not.
Yeah.
Not unless you're paying them very high dollars and they have a dedicated team member specifically for you.
And that goes back to the cost where by the time you get to a high end situation that's outsourcing, then you're like, well, crap, if I'm spending $80 grand a year.
There's a really good agency here in Birmingham that does social media called Socially In.
Yeah.
They do that level. Like, it's really expensive.
And you pay for that.
It's really expensive.
You pay for it.
But it's also really good. And that's all they do.
And,
right? They do social media management, and they're good at it.
And you can argue your outsourcing may be more expensive than in-house.
Yeah.
But
it is.
But you get more for it.
Oh, you're paying $100,000 a year minimum.
That situation.
When you're getting that level of service.
Yeah,
but at that point, you're getting professional. You're getting all the pros of both sides.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And then it becomes is it meeting what you want? Like,
right.
For us, we live off ROI. Like, if you spend $1,000, are you getting $2,000 back from it? Like, that's how we think. That's the mindset. We're really saying, are you getting 7,000 back with that 1,000?
That's the truth of it. If you put 1,000 in, are you getting 6 back?
That's where we really live. But that's the reality, because any urgent care, any business out there, if you're not making profit, you're eventually going to close.
Right.
Period. Like, that's just the nature of it. So.
Well, I told you I would give you my opinion, and then Michael, I'll give my opinion. You can take us out on these things to consider here. Okay. So here's my opinion. I think if you have the means to do it, you need to have somebody in your office doing your social media. That's what I think.
Yep.
Flip side of that, if you have no intention of hiring in that role and you're currently not active on social media, you need to get on top of that right away, because social media brings proof that your business is a good business to do business with.
Yeah, that's the bottom line, right? So, like, at a bare minimum, social media at least says you have a pulse.
That's it.
Like, it's not saying like you're doing amazing. It's just saying you're alive, because the opposite happens. If you haven't posted to social media in 10 years, because we see lots of those accounts out there where it's been 2011 since last post, I assume you're closed. Your doors are gone. Like, or chances are, if it's been that long, your contact info in there's wrong. Your branding doesn't exist like that anymore. So many layers. But at the minimum, like if social media is out there of some sort, you need to keep it active to some degree. And that's the minimum checkbox. And lots of agencies outsourcing is great for that. I wouldn't go in-house if that was the only checkbox you're trying to check.
Right.
Because it'd be a waste of your time and money.
Yep. It all comes down to your budget, your needs, and the goals you have in place for your company.
Yep.
That's it.
That's it.
Awesome. Well, look, I hope this was helpful for you. I know y'all were probably expecting me to say, hey, go outsource that and hire an agency. No. I actually really don't believe that in this case. I think you need to bring it in-house. Either way, we're always here to answer questions for you. Shoot us an email over at hello@patientcaremarketingpros.com. And where can they leave us a review?
Yeah, please leave us a review on, I think Spotify can do some type of review, Apple Podcast, all the things that are related to this podcast. It helps us.
It really does.
We have seen a nice increase in our audience recently. It's actually just cool to watch it grow. But it also it seems to happen when we get more reviews and just more interaction. So please do that, especially Apple Podcasts. At the end of the day, we're like 60-70% Apple Podcast listeners, and we recognize that.
Absolutely. Well, look, thanks for listening, and we will see you next Wednesday.
See ya.